Hello there, folks. DJ Burgstarre here, back with another tip of the day. So today I want to explain how you can push the maximum volume of your song potentially a little further than you were able to before. At least that's the case for me. So this is one of my songs, and this is my master chain here, and this is how it normally looks with a compressor, my multiband compressor, my glue compressor, my utility, and my limiter. And by the time this whole track gets to this limiter, what my goal is to push this limiter as loud as possible here so it doesn't get any distortion or clipping or sounds bad in any way, and kind of just get to that limit where, that's as far as I can push it before it sounds bad. And that's the maximum volume I could get. But I was sort of unhappy with the overall volume. It still wasn't quite, loud enough compared to other tracks of this style when I was A-Bing this with tracks that, I was comparing it to. So how can we push this song even further without adding any distortion or artifacts and still keep the quality of the song and the way you want it to sound, and keep a little bit of dynamics in it? And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to dynamics. And so the answer that I found was to add another limiter on an auxiliary bus before it gets to my master chain here. But I didn't throw everything on there, and if I did, I was careful on which ones I did not do it to. So let's listen to a piece of my song here, and this is without the added limiter. Let's see.
Stuck inside this cage I made for way too long, for way too long. Now I'm staring at the starlight, waiting for directions, got in the way. And this life, you keep on crashing, and I keep collapsing, I'll lose my faith.
So that's as far as I could go with this limiter.
Safety ain't gonna, it is restful until I'm on one.
Before the song sounded like it was getting any clipping or distortion. If we look at the master volume here, here's the goal that I'm trying to explain. So let's listen to it right here. There's a gap between the average volume and its max volume here. And this gap is sort of showing you the dynamics of this song, how low it gets to how high it gets in certain parts. And I wanted to kind of squeeze that gap as much as possible, even further, so the average volume of this song would be a little bit louder all the way through. But some things you can push and some things you can't. So let me show you what I did it to and what I didn't do it to. So you can see here C is where I threw this limiter. Here's the limiter on my bus. And so the piano and my reverse chords, I was able to, because they have some dynamics in them, so I was able to push that up without changing their character of the sound. The strings I wanted to leave with no dynamics at all. I wanted to keep as many dynamics as possible, so I didn't throw it through the limiter at all. My bass is pretty heavy as it is, so I just pushed a little bit of that through it. Now, the kick and the clap here, since they're samples and they're already kind of, I would say, compressed, and they already are pushing it, and they're just hits. They don't have a lot of dynamics in them, so I didn't really need to do too much with the limiter there. Now, on the vocals, on the female vocal and the male vocal, I put a lot of dynamics, a lot of squeezing that through the limiter. I pushed those through this extra limiter that I had to make sure that they would be sort of, less dynamics and more volume. that I could squeeze out of that. And same with the effects here. And so basically, and I did a lot to the guitar, and especially this drum loop. So this drum loop has really quiet parts on the hi-hats and things like that, and then a little bit more louder sounds when it hit other drums in this loop. So I squeezed that through the limiter as well. I gave it a lot of limiting as well. So now let's turn on and off the limiter and see if you can hear the difference. So let's start the track from over here somewhere where the guitar part maybe starts. This is off. That's on. Off. On. And you'll see a little bit of a difference here between the average volume here in the master. When I turn this off, you'll see that dip way below 6 there. When I turn this on, it's usually getting above 6 for the average volume. So basically, I sent as many things as I could to this limiter before it got to my master chains limiter. And so you may not be able to hear it that well. So what I did is I put together here the waveforms so you could look. I exported this track with and without the new limiter that I put on before it goes through the master. And so you can tell right away by the waveform here. See on these quieter parts here? Look at the waveform here. This is the one without the additional limiter, and this is the one with the limiter. So let's A/B these again over here. So this is the one without the limiting.
Stuck inside the
And then this is the one with the limiter.
Stuck inside the
Now you'll see that the peak here, the very top, as loud as it gets, are the same on both these tracks, because that's what the limiter on my master chain is doing. It's stopping this from getting any louder right here. And so the final loudness of this at the peak is the same. But during these quieter parts, and you can see it right here too, especially, look at this waveform compared to this one. I've really added a lot of volume to the overall track by adding that additional limiter on that bus. So that's all I wanted to say today. If you're really trying to push a song to get it a little louder without adding any distortion or ruining the way the song sounds potentially, squeeze a little bit of your tracks that have some dynamics on them through a limiter first before it gets to your master chain. And that way you can push that master limiter up gain, as far as possible like you normally do, but you will have more overall volume on your song. And that's what I did here. And it did help, as you can see, my waveform, that it pushed the loudness of this song just that little bit further. And that's what I was looking to try and do. So hopefully this tip helped you today. Adding that extra limiter on a bus can help. And thanks for watching again. I hope to see you guys on the next one. DJ Burgstarre out.